Hello, everyone. This episode of ChatGPT versus immigration lawyer is going to be a tricky one for ChatGPT, and let's see how it does. The question is, the hypothetical is, I'm a over 21-year-old US citizen, and I want to apply for a green card for my foreign national mother, who let's say is from Mexico. And my mother entered here without a visa and has stayed here continuously. Is it possible for me to apply for permanent status for her? This is a tricky one, and let's see how ChatGPT does with this, and we'll try to flush this one out a little bit. I've already queued up the question. Let me share the screen. So hopefully everyone can see this here. Here's the question. I'm a 21-year-old US citizen. I want to apply for my mother, who entered without a visa and is still here. So ChatGPT talks about the basic part of the process. First, you apply for an I-130. Then it talks about maybe you can apply for adjustment of status, maybe you can't. Now, that's not a very concise answer. In the basic rules, you cannot apply for adjustment of status if the person did not enter with a visa, or specifically they had to be inspected and admitted formally by our immigration officers. There are a few kind of slender exceptions to that, notably kind of a 245I exception for people who had really old petitions for them. But barring that, you generally cannot apply for adjustment of status, which creates the parent problem, which means the parent has to go through the consulate. In this case, would be Juarez, Mexico, the US consulate in Juarez, Mexico, and then they would need a waiver. Because if you look down here, my mother in this hypothetical did accrue more than 180 days, more than a year for that matter, because she's been here for some time. And that's the problem. We call it the parent problem, because ChatGPT says, well, there might be a waiver for them, but the reality is it's very hard for parents to get that waiver, and here's why. Can I get a I-601A waiver for my mother who stayed here unlawful? And let's see if it grasps this question, and we'll talk about it in a second here. So it does perhaps, let's see if it actually gets there. So it talks about the 601A waiver, and like ChatGPT does a good job with the broader information. Why is this not paging up? Oh, there we go. So it is possible to get the waiver. The problem is a parent can only get a 601A waiver if they're married to a permanent resident or US citizen, or if their parents are here with status as permanent residents or citizens, which is often not the case, because if it's my parent, perhaps my grandparents, are no longer alive, or they still live in the foreign country. And it's very uncommon for this person to have a spouse who's a citizen or permanent resident, because if that were the case, the spouse would be applying for them rather than the child. And so the problem is, while a child can apply for a parent, the child does not count in the waiver calculation, which we call the extreme hardship calculation. Waivers are based on hardship to citizens and residents, but they don't count the children in this context. And so often parents, even though the child can sponsor the parent for the process, when the parent gets to the waiver step, they have no what we call qualifying relative. That's what we also call, at least within my law firm, the parent problem, which is very frustrating and harsh. So this is a little bit above ChatGPT's pay grade here. So I'm going to give it a B minus on this one, but that's a tricky question. And again, ChatGPT does do a good job on kind of the basic information. It does do a pretty good job of. Okay, until next time, we'll try to post another one of these up pretty soon. Hopefully people are enjoying them.